Hello students, welcome to AKR chemistry classes. In this session, I am going to teach you the concept of ethers. In ethers, today we are going to learn nomenclature of ethers, the next methods of preparations of ethers, and chemical reactions of ethers involving cleavage of OC bond. Okay? Now coming to what are ethers? These are the organic compounds having the general formula RO R dash. These are the compounds having the general formula ROR dash, where R and R may be, they may be alkyl group, they may be aryl group, or it may be alkyl groups. But it cannot be hydrogen. It cannot be hydrogen. And the value of n should be always equal to 2, means number of carbon atoms in ether should be 2, minimum 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, infinity. If both R and R dash are same, nothing but if R is equal to R dash, then those ethers are called as simple ethers. Both the alkyl group or alkyl groups or aryl groups which are bonded to the oxygen atoms are same, then they are called as simple ethers. If R is not equal to R dash, then it is called as mixed ethers. Then it is called as mixed ethers. This is very simple introduction about ethers. Note it down. Okay. Now I will teach you the IUPAC nomenclature for these ethers. CH3O CH3. This is called a simple ether because on either side of carbon atom the number of carbon atoms are same. On either side of oxygen atom the number of carbon atoms are same. The name of the molecule is dimethyl ether. When you are providing IUPAC name, the oxygen atom should link it with one alkyl group which is smaller group. The oxygen atom should be linked with one alkyl group or aryl group which is smaller group, which should be a smaller group. Then it should be represented as alkoxy. Then it should be represented as alkoxy. Here the alkoxy is both same or same, therefore I will represent it as methoxy methane. Means smaller group should always link with oxygen atom. Second one, C2H5O C2H5. It is also an example for simple ether. Diethyl ether, ethoxy ethane, Now CH3O CH2 CH3. On either side of oxygen atom the number of carbon atoms are different, then it is called as mixed ether. So this is methyl group, this is ethyl group. Eth comes first followed by methyl, therefore ethyl methyl ether, ethyl methyl ether. While we are representing IUPAC name, smaller group should link it with oxygen, therefore it is represented as methoxy ethane, Next, CH3O CH2 CH2 CH3. So this is methyl group and this is propyl group, and then propyl group has got straight chain, therefore it is represented as methyl N propyl ether, methyl N propyl ether. IUPAC name is linked to this only, and here we are going to number 1, 2, 3. 1 methoxy propane, 1 methoxy propane. Pause the video, please note it down. Over. Okay. Now next, CH3 CH CH3O CH3. So this is isopropyl group, this is methyl group, therefore methyl, common name is methyl isopropyl ether. Methyl isopropyl ether. 1, 2, 3. Second carbon atom is bonded to the methoxy group, therefore 2 methoxy propane. 2 methoxy propane. 2 methoxy propane. Now CH3O C6H5. Common name is anisole. Common name is anisole, or it is also represented as methyl phenyl ether. Methyl phenyl ether. Smaller group should be linked to the oxygen atom, therefore it is a methoxy benzene. Methoxy benzene. PHO CH2 CH3. Ethyl phenyl ether. Ethoxy benzene. IUPAC name is ethoxy benzene. Ethers and alcohols. Ethers and alcohols are functional isomers. Ethers and alcohols are the functional isomers. Please note it down. Okay students, now we will move with the methods of preparation of ethers, and very important method regarding to this one is Williamson's ether synthesis. When alkyl halides made to react with sodium alkoxides. When alkyl halides is made to react with sodium alkoxides, we get the respective ethers. Here the bond breaks and here the get bond breaks. We get RO R dash plus sodium halide is obtained. When alkyl halides are treated with sodium alkoxide, we get the respective ethers. Examples, very simple example I will give you first. CH3Br untreated with NaOC2H5. This is plus and this is minus. This is minus, it becomes plus. Charge separation. Sodium ethoxide, it is a base. We get CH3O CH2 CH3 plus NaBr. The name of the molecule is methoxyethane. Methoxyethane is obtained. Take one more example, CH3 CH2 Br untreated with sodium methoxide. Untreated with sodium methoxide, we get CH3 CH2O C2H5. Sorry. We get CH3, same methoxyethane with the liberation of sodium bromide. Okay, please note it down. Now I'll take primary alkyl halides, that is methyl bromide is made to react with sodium alkoxide In this case sodium alkoxide, I will take tertiary butyl sodium tertiary butoxide. The compound is sodium tertiary butoxide. When it is treated with this one, here the bond breaks, here the bond breaks, and we get CH3O, CH3, 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 CH3 plus sodium bromide. The name of the compound is tertiary butyl ether. Tertiary butyl ether, or IUPAC name is 2-methoxy. 1, 2, 3. So on second carbon atom is there 2-methoxy 2-methyl propane. 2-methoxy 2-methyl propane is obtained. If I take tertiary alkyl halide CH3 carbon CH3 CH3 Br. This is tertiary butyl bromide. Tertiary alkyl halide. When tertiary alkyl halide untreated with a normal base, CH3, that is sodium methoxide, untreated with normal base sodium methoxide, it undergo elimination reaction. To form CH3C double bond CH2 CH3 plus NABR plus CH3OH. So what the conclusion we can give from this reaction? Only primary alkyl halides has an ability to form the respective ether, but not by secondary or tertiary alkyl halides. Please note it down. So what are the concepts we are learned from above Williamson's ether synthesis? Only primary alkyl halide can undergo this Williamson's ether synthesis, whereas secondary and tertiary alkyl halides undergo elimination reactions. It undergo elimination reaction to form alkenes. If the strong base is used, it follows SN2 mechanism. Phenolic ethers cannot be prepared. The reason is, when alkyl halides, aryl halides such as bromobenzene, when bromobenzene is made to react with sodium alkoxide Na plus O minus, this is the nucleophile. And it should have to replace this nucleophile. It should have to replace nucleophile at normal room temperature, which is not possible. We know that aryl halides do not undergo nucleophilic substitution reactions under normal conditions. Therefore, we cannot prepare phenolic ethers. By Williamson's ether synthesis. Alkyl halide should be less endurance compared to the sodium alkoxide. If the alkyl halide is less endurance compared to the sodium alkoxide, it always favors the reaction. Therefore, only primary alkyl halides undergo Williamson's ether synthesis, but not by secondary or tertiary alcohols. Please note it down. Now, preparation of cyclic and aromatic ethers. OH Cl, when it is treated with sodium hydroxide solution in presence of water and the reaction mixture is heated up to 25 degrees Celsius, we get cyclic ether. The mechanism here is very simple. Oxygen hydrogen bond is there, chlorine is there. When it is treated with sodium hydroxide solution OH minus ion, oxygen is more electronegative than the carbon atom, therefore it has an ability to drag the electron density from hydrogen atom. It's more electronegative than carbon as well as hydrogen, but it easily drags electron density towards itself with the release of H plus ion in the form of water molecule. So we get this structure O minus Cl. So chloride ion is a good leaving group, so it undergoes intramolecular rearrangement reaction. Now it undergoes intramolecular rearrangement reaction with the release of chloride ion by forming the respective cyclic ether. Please note it down. The next is by dehydration of alcohols. When ethanol, for example, I'll take ethanol C2H5OH. When ethanol is heated with concentrated sulfuric acid up to 140 degrees Celsius, or you can also write it as 413 Kelvin. Temperature plays a very important role in this reaction. When ethanol is heated with concentrated sulfuric acid up to 140 or 413 Kelvin, it undergoes a dehydration reaction to form a simple ether. The name of the simple ether is diethyl ether is obtained with the liberation of water. Okay, please note it down. The mechanism involved in this follows 3 steps. Step 1, protonation of alcohol. Protonation of sulfuric acid H2SO4 on subjected to strong heating, it undergoes decomposition by producing the proton. First it acts as a catalyst, then it acts as a dehydrating agent. CH3 CH2O CH2 CH3. The oxygen contains lone pair electrons. It gains the H plus ion very easily to form protonated alcohol CH3 CH2. Wait a minute, sorry. Mechanism. Step 1, protonation of alcohol. At high temperature, sulfuric acid undergo decomposition to form H plus plus HSO4 minus ion. Okay, children. Now, this alcohol CH3 CH2OH. In alcohols, the oxygen atom contains lone pair electrons. These lone pair electrons attract the H plus ion very easily to form protonated alcohol CH3 CH2O positive hydrogen. The obtained compound is called as protonated ethanol. Protonated ethanol is obtained. Now step 2. Attack of nucleophile. Attack of nucleophile. CH3, CH2O, hydrogen, hydrogen. It carries positive charge. Then the molecule is unstable. Therefore, it drags electron density towards itself by creating the positive charge on this carbon atom plus one more molecule of alcohol I will take now. This molecule of alcohol acts as nucleophile, and this oxygen atom, this group complete, acts as nucleophile, and this group is directly attacks this carbon atom with the release of water to form CH3, CH2O, hydrogen, positive charge, CH2, CH3 with the loss of water molecule. And in step 3, loss of proton. The step 3, loss of proton. CH3, CH2O, hydrogen. This oxygen atom carries positive charge, CH2, CH3. So to retain the stability of oxygen atom, it drags electron density exists between oxygen and hydrogen atom by the releasing of H plus ion, where this H plus ion is obtained from acid. Therefore, acid acts as a catalyst, then it acts as a dehydrating agent. It moves back, and we get the final product, that is CH3, CH2O, CH2, CH3. Diethyl ether is obtained. Please note it down. Dehydration of alcohol can be carried out by using concentrated acid as well as aluminum oxide at different temperatures. It gives different products. When ethanol untreated with concentrated sulfuric acid and the reaction mixture is set up to 413 Kelvin, it undergoes dehydration reaction to form ethers. It undergoes dehydration reaction to form ethers. When the same alcohol is heated up to, in presence of concentrated H2SO4, in presence of concentrated H2SO4 is heated up to 443 Kelvin. Now the temperature increases. We get it undergoes elimination reaction. It undergoes elimination reaction to form alkene. To form alkene, it is thermodynamically more stable. Okay, like that. When ethanol is treated with aluminum oxide, which is also acts as a good dehydrating agent, and the reaction mixture is heated up to 250 degrees Celsius, we get ethers CH3, CH2O, CH2, CH3 with the liberation of water. When same composition I will take, but the temperature I am going to increase up to 350 degrees Celsius, then I get alkene. So what does this reaction indicates? Dehydration of alcohol with the dehydrating agent gives different products at different temperatures. Gives different products at different temperatures. Please note it down. In this method, only primary alcohol undergo abosynthesis. Dehydration reactions should be carried out. This method is applicable only for primary alcohols, because only primary alcohols are treated with concentrated sulfuric acid at a temperature of 413 Kelvin, then only it undergo dehydration reaction to form ethers. If secondary or tertiary alcohols treated with the concentrated sulfuric acid, it undergo dehydration reaction to form alkenes, and that dehydration reaction is also called as beta elimination reaction. It is also called as beta elimination reaction. And the most important is, by this method I can prepare only simple ethers but not mixed ethers. by the method of dehydration of alcohol, we can prepare only simple ethers but not mixed ethers. Please note it down. Coming to the chemical reactions of ether. Dialkyl ether reacts with a few reagents other than acids. Ether resists attack of nucleophile, because if I write the molecular formula, you can observe in case of ethers, oxygen atom possesses high electron density, therefore ether itself acts as a nucleophile. Ether itself acts as a nucleophile, therefore it resists the attack of nucleophile and by the base or by any type of base. Ethers has a ability to solvate cation. Ether has an ability to solvate cation because it has a capacity to donate these electrons. It has capacity to donate the lone pair electrons which are present on the oxygen atom. Therefore, this property of ether makes to acts as a solvent for many reactions. You may observe in many number of reactions. For example, in the preparation of Grignard reagent, we are using ether medium, dry ether medium as a solvent to carry out the reaction. Due to ether has an ability to solvate cation, this property makes ether as a solvent for many reactions. Please note it down. Very important reactions of ether. Reactions involving breaking up of CO bond with cold hydrogen iodide. When ethers are treated with cold hydroiodic acid, it forms respective alkyl iodides with the liberation of alcohols. For example, CH3O, CH3. Methoxymethane on treated with cold form of hydroiodic acid or hydrogen iodide, we get methyl iodide with the formation of methanol. Or if I take CH3, CH2O, CH2, CH3 on treated with hydrogen iodide, I get CH3, CH2I plus CH3, CH2OH. So with the simple ethers, either bond breaks between this carbon and oxygen atom or between this carbon and oxygen atom to form the respective alkyl iodide as well as respective alcohol. Now, how the bond get dissociated, I am going to teach in three different ways. In the case 1, if both alkyl groups are primary, if both the alkyl groups are primary which is bonded to the oxygen atom, then it always follows SN2 mechanism. Means there is no involved in the formation of carbocation. That is CH3O, CH3. Both are primary carbon atoms. On treated with hydrogen iodide, first in hydrogen iodide, H plus ion attacks the lone pair electrons present on the oxygen atom, attacks the H plus ion which is obtained from hydrogen iodide to form protonated ether CH3O hydrogen CH3, and this carbon atom carries positive charge. Now what happens to retain the stability of oxygen atom from any one side, because on both the sides the number of carbon atoms are equal, so one side carbon and oxygen atom get break up and it involved in the formation of this one, it involved in the formation of minus, and this minus was attacked by the iodine, so it involved in the formation of CH3I plus CH3OH is obtained. So this is the slowest step, and based on the slowest step we can find out the speed of the reaction, therefore it's called as rate determining step. If the molecule is like this, CH3O, CH2, CH3. Now I took the mixed ethers, but the condition is both are primary groups. Both are primary groups. Now, normal group and this is primary group. Now it are treated with hydrogen iodide, H plus ion from Hi. These lone pair electrons present on the oxygen atom attacks this H plus ion to form the intermediate compound like this: O, hydrogen, CH2, CH3, and this carries positive charge. Now the question arises, from which side of this oxygen atom has an ability to attract the electrons? So it always break the bond, because always iodine attacks the carbon atom from the backside, which should be less hindrance. So if you see this one, CH3, there is only one group is there. Here it is CH2, CH3, bulky group, normal group, bulky group. Since this iodine always attacks the carbon atom from the backside because it follows SN2 mechanism, therefore the carbon atom should be less hindrance, therefore it attacks this one. Or simply you keep in mind that always the I minus attacks that carbon chain which contains less number of carbon atoms. Always I minus attacks that carbon chain which contains less number of carbon atoms. Now these electrons will come here and we get the final product CH3I plus CH3, CH2, OH. If I give one more molecule, CH3, CH2, O, CH2, CH3, CH2, CH3. What happens when it is treated with hydrogen iodide? Pause the video and complete the answer. Pause the video and complete the answer. Got it? So which side iodine always attacks? It always attacks that side of carbon chain which contains less number of carbon atoms. We get CH3, CH2I plus CH3, CH2, CH2OH. N-propanol iodoethane is obtained. Please note it down. If case 2, second case, I'll take like this. If any one alkyl group, there will be two alkyl groups in the ethers. Out of any one alkyl group is secondary, not secondary, sorry, either it may be tertiary or it may be benzyl. Tertiary or it may be benzyl, then it always undergoes SN1 mechanism, means it involved in the formation of carbocation. It is involved in the formation of carbocation. For example, CH3, C, CH3, CH3, O, CH3. The name of the compound is 2-methoxy, 1, 2, 3, 2-methoxy 2-methyl propane, and treated with hydrogen iodide. Which will be the major product? The major product I will directly write here: CH3C, CH3, CH3I. Tertiary butyl iodide is open. CH3OH. How it possible? I am going to teach that mechanism. CH3, the mechanism involved in this reaction. CH3C, methyl group, oxygen, CH3. H plus ion, which is obtained from hydroiodic acid, attacks the lone pair electrons of oxygen atom to form protonated ether. O, methyl. Now this is the positive charge will be there. Now whenever this positive charge present on the oxygen atom, the molecule is unstable. To retain the stability, it can drag the electron density either from this tertiary carbon atom, or it can also drag the electron density from the primary carbon atom. If it drags the electron density from the primary carbon atom, we get primary carbocation. If it drags from the tertiary carbon atom, then it involved in the formation of tertiary carbocation, which is more stable, due to hyperconjugation effect. So it forms this one: methyl group, carbon, methyl, methyl carbocation. Tertiary butyl carbocation is obtained. We get CH3OH. Now this remaining part of I minus ion attacks this molecule to form tertiary butyl iodide. Tertiary butyl iodide is obtained. Therefore, it follows SN1 mechanism. It always follows SN1 mechanism. Please note. For example, if I got this compound like this, double bond, double bond, CH2 benzyl carbocation O CH3. This is the compound I got. Okay, plus hydrogen iodide on treated with hydrogen iodide. Which is the major compound you can get? The major compound will be like this: CH2I benzyl iodide plus CH3OH plus CH3OH. Now, how the reaction takes place? We can explain by using mechanism. I'll write benzene ring as in terms of pH. CH2O CH3. First, it undergoes protonation, which is obtained H plus ion, which is obtained from hydroiodic acid. Oxygen acts as the best nucleophile. It attracts this electrophile very easily to form protonated ether CH2O CH3, and it carries positive charge. Now it is hydrogen atom. Now this is methyl group. This will be the methyl group, and this will be the benzyl carbon atom. Benzyl carbon atom, and we know that benzyl carbocation is more stable than normal carbocation. Therefore, it drags electron density from here to create benzyl carbocation pH CH2 plus. We get benzyl carbocation. Why benzyl carbocation is more stable? Due to resonance. Finally, the I minus, remaining part of hydrogen iodide I minus, get reacted to form pH CH2I. Benzyl iodide is obtained. Here, what is the part get removed? Minus CH3OH. Please note it down. Now, very important concept, that is case 3. If only one alkyl group is secondary, if any one of the alkyl group in the ether is secondary, then how the reaction takes place? The reaction depends upon the solvent medium. If the solvent medium is polar, if I carried out the reaction by using polar solvents like water, ethanol, etc., like water, ethanol, etc., then it always involved in the it always follows SN1 mechanism, depend upon the stability of carbocation. If the solvent is polar aprotic like acetone, polar aprotic, then it follows SN2 mechanism. Then it always follows SN2 mechanism, and here the halide ion always attacks less steric hindrance carbon atom. It always attacks, the halide ion always attacks less steric hindrance carbon atom. For example, I'll take like this: CH3 C CH3 CHO CH3. Now this is secondary alkyl group, and it is normal alkyl group. Okay, when it is treated with hydrogen iodide, in presence of polar solvent, here the bond breaks up. We get secondary carbocation is more stable than normal carbocation. Therefore, we get CH3 CH3I plus isopropyl iodide. isopropyl iodide is obtained with the formation of CH3OH. Okay. When it is treated with hydrogen iodide but in presence of acetone, here it follows SN1, acetone. The medium is very very important. It follows SN2. Therefore, this iodine always attacks less hindrance carbon atom to form methyl iodide with the formation of secondary alcohol CH3, CHOH, CH3. Please note it down. Okay. Now I will give one question. Try to solve this question. Note down the question, pause the video and try to get the answer. I got phenol. What happens phenol on treated with hydrogen iodide? What happens phenol when treated with hydrogen iodide? Now I am giving second question. What happens when anisole on treated with hydrogen iodide? What happens when anisole on treated with hydrogen iodide? So whether we get phenol or whether we get phenoxide iodide, check it out. So the bond should get break between oxygen and carbon atom. If here it get break up, it involved in the formation of normal carbocation. Here if it break up, it involved in the formation of phenyl carbocation. If I check the stability, normal carbocation is more stable than phenyl carbocation. Normal carbocation is more stable than phenyl carbocation. Therefore, this hydrogen atom attacks this oxygen atom and this iodine attacks this carbon atom because this carbon atom is more stable. So it follows SN2 mechanism but not SN1 mechanism to form the respective phenol as well as methyl iodide. Now I need the answer for what happens when phenol are treated with hydrogen iodide. At the end of the video, I will give the answer. Please note it down. Ziesel's method. This method is used to estimate the alkoxy groups present in the given organic compound. This method is used to estimate the alkoxy group present in the given organic compound. What type of alkoxy groups means? Especially methoxy and or ethoxy groups. So when ROCH3 on treated with hydrogen iodide, we get alcohol with the liberation of methyl iodide. This methyl iodide on treated with a known quantity of silver nitrite, we get a silver iodide with the liberation of methyl nitrite. NO3 nitrate. So in this reaction, the amount of OCH3 is exactly equal to the amount of silver iodide is obtained. The amount of OCH3 present in the ether, it is exactly equal to the amount of silver iodide is obtained. Therefore, percentage of methoxy group. Therefore, percentage of methoxy group is always equal to 31. What is the meaning of 31? This is the molecular weight of methoxy group. Molecular weight of methoxy group into weight of silver iodide into 100 divided by molecular weight of silver iodide into, this is the amount of silver iodide obtained during the reaction, into weight of ether taken in the beginning of the reaction. Please note it down. Now, until now I taught the reactions of hydrogen iodide with ethers with a limited amount. Now what happens when excess of hydrogen iodide is used with ethers, we should have to learn. When ethers are treated with hydrogen iodide, this is limited amount of hydrogen iodide, we get the respective alkyl iodide as well as alcohol. This we know. Either it follows SN1 or it follows SN2 reaction. We get alkyl iodide as well as alcohol. If I use excess amount of hydrogen iodide, then the obtained alcohol also get converted into respective alkyl iodides. Means what does it indicate? When we use excess amount of hydrogen iodide with ethers are get completely converted into respective only alkyl iodides. The ethers are get completely converted into only alkyl iodides. For example, CH3O, CH2, CH3. Whenever it is treated with excess of hydrogen iodide, first we get methyl iodide. The first reaction we always get methyl iodide because it follows SN2 mechanism, and iodide ion always attacks the less steric hindrance carbon atom. Plus we get ethanol. Ethanol again reacts with hydrogen iodide to form CH3, CH2, OH with the liberation of what? Sorry, not OH, I. CH3, CH2I plus water is obtained. Methyl iodide and ethyl iodide are obtained. If we use the molecule like this, CH3C, CH3, CH3, OCH3, on treated with excess of hydrogen iodide, first it follows SN1 mechanism. This iodine attacks more stable carbocation to form tertiary butyl iodide. First we get tertiary butyl iodide, then I get normal methyl iodide and water is obtained. Now complete this reaction. If I use benzyl methyl ether, what happens when benzyl methyl ether are treated with hydrogen iodide in presence of excess amount? So always iodine attacks this benzyl carbocation because it follows SN1 mechanism. First we get benzyl iodide, CH2I, followed by methyl iodide, is obtained. Please note it down. Now what happens when anisole? This is anisole. It is very, very important now. What happens when anisole on treated with excess of hydrogen iodide? We get only one product, that is methyl iodide as well as phenol. Means whenever anisole on treated with normal amount of hydrogen iodide or excess amount of hydrogen iodide, we get only phenol. In aryl ethers, not only anisole, if you take any aryl ethers, even excess of hydrogen iodide is used, only phenols are formed with alkyl iodides. Means we get two different products. One is alkyl iodide. Along with alkyl iodide, we get only phenols. Please note it down. Next, coming to dehydration of ethers. This is possible if ether containing beta hydrogen atom. If ether contains at least one beta hydrogen atom, then only the dehydration reaction is possible. For example, if I take CH3O, CH3, this is normal ether, this is alpha carbon atom, it on heated with either concentrated H2SO4 or on treated with Al2O3, no reaction because this ether do not contains beta hydrogen atom. I'll take one more molecule, CH3, CH2O, CH3. This is alpha, This is alpha, and this is beta carbon atom which containing beta hydrogen atom. Now what happens when it is heated with concentrated sulfuric acid H2SO4 on Al2O thrice on subjected to heating? Either I can use dehydrating agent as a sulfuric acid or dehydrating agent as a aluminum oxide. So always the bond breaks here. The first this molecule is get converted into CH3OH because it do not undergo dehydration, plus this molecule undergo dehydration. From this carbon atom one hydrogen atom is removed, CH2 double bond CH2. We get the answer. Note it down. If the given component is like this, CH3O C CH3 CH3 hydrogen, alpha carbon atom, beta carbon atom, beta carbon atom, alpha carbon atom, are subjected to dehydration by using concentrated sulfuric acid or aluminum oxide. So both the beta carbon atoms containing same number of carbon atoms. First the bond breaks here to form CH3OH alcohol plus CH. This one I can write here CH3 we got. So how can I write this one as CH3? I will write this one hyphen. Now I will take this carbon atom. Okay. What happens? This C, we get carbon, and this hydrogen will be like this only. I will remove one hydrogen atom from this. We get double bond CH2. That's all. 1, 2, 3. If I return 1, 2, 3. Note it down. The molecule is like this: CH3, CH2, O, CH, CH2, CH3, CH2. What happens when this composition on heated with concentrated sulfuric acid? On both sides we got alpha carbon atom as well as beta carbon atom, beta 1, beta 2. First here dehydrohalogenation takes place to form CH2 double bond CH2. Now both the sets bond break up along with water molecule plus H2O. Okay, na? One hydrogen atom from this side, one hydrogen atom from this side, oxygen to form water, plus here we got two CH3, sorry, this one. From which beta carbon I should have to remove? From this beta carbon atom I should have to remove the hydrogen atom. Therefore we get a CH3, CH double bond CH, CH3 is obtained. If I got the molecule like this, CH3C, CH3, CH3, O, CH2, CH3. Complete the reaction. What happens when it is treated with concentrated H2SO4? So we get CH2 double bond CH2 plus H2O plus 1 alkene is obtained. Please note it down. Now the question arises, how whether the ethers peroxides, whether the ether peroxide on treated with sulfuric acid or ferrous sulfate or copper sulfate, whether they converted ether or not, whether the peroxides of ethers converted into ethers or not, we need to do a test. That test is called as identification test for ethers. There are two methods there. When ether peroxide, whenever the ether peroxide on treated with sulfuric acid, copper sulfate or ferrous sulfate, it always get converted into ether with the liberation of hydrogen peroxide. If it liberates hydrogen peroxide, then whenever it is treated with potassium iodide in presence of starch, we get blue colored solution. What does this blue colored solution indicates? It indicates that ether peroxides have been converted into ethers. Ether peroxide has been converted into ether. If I use ether peroxide, if ether peroxide is treated with ferrous sulfate, we get ether as well as H2O2. So this hydrogen peroxide acts as a good oxidizing agent, which oxidizes Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus, which oxidizes ferrous ion to ferric ion. When this ferric ion on treated with potassium cyanide isocyanate solution, potassium thiocyanate solution, we get a red colored compound. It also indicates that ether peroxides are get converted into ethers. Means formation of blue and red color indicates that ether peroxides are get converted into ethers. Please note it down. Oxidation of ethers by using acidified potassium dichromate. Ether should satisfy two conditions to undergo oxidation with acidified potassium dichromate. The first condition is ether should contains at least one alpha hydrogen atom. The first condition is the ether should contains at least one alpha hydrogen atom. If the molecules containing alpha hydrogen atoms depend upon the number of alpha hydrogen atom, we get the different oxidized product. If alpha carbon atom containing two alpha hydrogen atoms, if the given alpha carbon atom in ether containing two alpha hydrogen atom, then it undergoes oxidation to form only carboxylic acid. Means if the given alpha carbon atom containing two alpha hydrogen atom, when it is subjected to oxidation, this alpha carbon atom of ether get converted into carboxylic acid. If the given ether alpha carbon atom contains only one alpha hydrogen atom, then it on subjected to oxidation, it always get converted into keto group. This alpha carbon atom is get converted into keto group. For example, CH3, CH2, O, CH2, CH2, CH3. Here this is one alpha carbon atom is there, this is one alpha carbon atom is there, and treated with potassium dichromate solution in the acidic medium. This will undergo oxidation. As soon as it undergoes oxidation, this group first get converted into carboxylic acid, CH3 COOH plus. This group also get converted into carboxylic acid, CH3 CH2 COOH, because both the alpha carbon atoms contains two alpha hydrogen atoms. Both the carbon atoms contains two alpha hydrogen atom. Therefore, both undergoes oxidation to form carboxylic acid. Now, if I take the molecule like this, CH3, CH2, O, carbon, hydrogen, 3, CH3. This is alpha, this is also alpha, on subjected to oxidation in presence of acidified potassium dichromate solution. In 2 alpha one alpha carbon atom contains two alpha hydrogen atoms, therefore it get converted into CH3 COH plus, and this alpha carbon atom contains only one hydrogen atom, therefore it get converted into keto group CH3C double bond O CH3. Please note it down. Next, coming to halogenation of ethers. When ethers CH3 CH2O CH2 CH3 are treated with limited amount of halogen in presence of diffuse sunlight, it undergo free radical mechanism. But the ether should satisfy one condition, that ether should contains at least one alpha hydrogen atom, then only the reaction is possible. Ether should contains at least one alpha hydrogen atom, then only the reaction is possible to form CH3 CHCl O C2H5. The name of the compound is alpha chloro diethyl ether is obtained. Means when I use limited amount of chlorine, only one alpha hydrogen atom is replaced by halogen. Only one alpha hydrogen atom is replaced by halogen. Case 2. If I use excess amount of halogen, then we will see CH3 CH2O CH2 CH3. When diethyl ether are treated with excess amount of chlorine in presence of diffuse sunlight, we get CCl5O CCl5. We get per chloro diethyl ether is obtained. What does this reaction indicates? This reaction indicates that in presence of excess amount of halogen, all the hydrogen atoms are replaced. In presence of small amount of halogen, only one alpha hydrogen atom is replaced. Please note it down. Coming to reaction with carbon monoxide. When ethers are treated with carbon monoxide, and the temperature is maintained between 125 degrees Celsius to 185 degrees Celsius under pressure of 200 atmosphere, 180 in presence of Lewis acid like boron trifluoride, they undergo free radical mechanism. Here it follows free radical mechanism to form esters, RC double bond O R dash. Esters are obtained. Coming to the Wittig rearrangement reaction. This rearrangement reaction is given only by benzyl or allyl ethers. This reaction is possible only by benzyl or allyl ethers, which are treated with the base. They get converted into respective alcohols. The ethers are get converted into respective alcohols. This rearrangement takes place in presence of strong base. The rearrangement takes place in the presence of strong base like alkyl lithiums and sodamide. For example, I'll take PH CH2O CH3 methoxybenzyl ether. The name of the compound is methoxybenzyl ether. On treated with strong base, the strong base, we get PH CH CH3 OH 1 phenyl ethane 1 OL is operand. That is, ether is converted into alcohol. The mechanism involved in this like this: PH CH hydrogen oxygen CH3 on treated with phenyl lithium. It acts as a Lewis acid which accepts a pair of electron, that is from proton. It is replaced from the alpha carbon atom because it is acidic in nature. It is highly acidic in nature because it is bonded to the benzyl carbocation to form, and these electrons will come here to form PH CH minus O CH3. Now here these electrons will go towards this CH3 group, and these electrons will come towards this oxygen group to form one more intermediate CH minus O free radical plus CH3 free radical. So here what happens, free radical and negative charge get exchanged with each other. PH CH free radical O minus, and this free radical is attacked by this molecule to form PH CH CH3 O minus, which on treated with H plus ion we get the respective product PH CH CH3 OH is obtained. So this is the rearrangement involved in the Wittig reaction. Okay students, it may be a lengthy class for today, but try to revise the video one or twice so that you can understand the concepts of ethers properly. Thank you for watching the video. If you like this video, please subscribe and share my video.